I have been in communications with a YouTuber by the name of Class E here on YouTube. Well, on YouTube. I post this to Rumble and I post this to Facebook as well. So this is the fifth part of my stolen election series. And he did a recent interview, Class E did, with Garland Favorito. He's co-founder and president of Voter GA. And he's been trying to get the truth about the ballots in Fulton County since 2020. No joke. He's been fighting this since 2020. Y'all need to hear, I gave y'all in part four part of his press conference, but I have here an answer to an interview question with Class C that you truly need to hear. You need to understand how much of a fight and disobedience of the law that the Fulton County Election Board has been doing. It's going to be painted for you in black and white. And it's getting to the point that everybody in America needs to know. They keep getting lied to. You've got the Atlanta Journal Constitution lying to people. You've got public broadcasting lying to you about what's going on in Georgia. Well, Garland Favorito has been fighting it on the ground. Him and his group, Voter GA, have been showing that has been a steal. And he goes into it. He points out everything that he's had to deal with beyond just what was told in the press conference. There comes a point where it doesn't matter what political party you're in, you should be worried about this happening in a major area within the United States. Atlanta is one of the major cities in this nation. Fulton County covers most of Atlanta. So for them to do this, this means that if they were taken over by, say, parts of the Republican Party, can you imagine the outcry that Democrats would do? We need an election board in Fulton County and everywhere else in the United States to follow the law when it pertains to anything dealing with the election. But let me quit flapping my jaws. Let me let you get into this answer because it is so amazing. Here we go. Hey folks, now that you're at my channel, there are four things I would love for you to do. The very first thing is think. Now, I'm the type of person that's not wanting Hobbes's Leviathan. I am not wanting a Maoist or Stalinist government. I am wanting freedom for everybody. So, what I cover, I want you to think about those things. Next, hit like, hit subscribe, because it really, really helps me out. Now, let's get back to the video.
Fascinating.
Yes, and we dropped the link to voterga.org in the chat, and we've also got it in the description as well. You just go to the events tab and you'll be able to find everything there. Specifically talking about the hiding ballot situation, because again, as you said, I've talked about it at length here. We actually went through the affidavit for the search warrant step by step, and we saw to me, the three major issues: the missing ballots, the duplicated ballots, and the tabulators, right? And it was so interesting to me to see that you're saying, and what your lawsuit, I believe, showed, was that Fulton County was hiding those ballots from you for multiple years.
Oh, right. So, I mean, if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, I'm trying to remember what we talked about. There's so much water on the dam in the last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I can't remember exactly what we discussed on the show last week. But yeah. So if you want to go back all the way to the beginning, we filed that case for the ballots in December 23 of 2020, and it was, and the reason we filed it was several reasons. One is, I was there at the hand count audit when they found the counterfeit ballots. Susie Boyle's found the ballot. I think we may have talked about that last week.
Yes.
But they, it's obvious they were counterfeit because they were mail-in ballots, and they're trying to say that they weren't mail-in ballots, but they were mail-in ballots, and they were not folded from being mailed. They were not written with a writing instrument. It looked like they were toner copied, and they were not on the correct paper stock, and they were voted the same way down ballot for dozens of a row. So they were obvious counterfeits. And then, we had the State Farm Arena video. You can see some double scanning on that. So we filed the lawsuit on December 23rd of 2020. And that was what we call an equal protection and due process. That means if they are not conducting elections properly, that's a violation of our federal and state constitutional due process. And if they injected counterfeit ballots, then it's an equal protection violation because it's diluting our votes. So that was the basis of our claim. And the judge we got an order to preserve the ballots and an order to unseal the ballots in 2021. So we got the order to preserve. We went to court on January 6th of 2021 of all dates. Mm-hmm. When everything was going on up in D.C., and we were in the courtroom. Yeah. Fulton County said they wanted to go home. We had to stop the. It was a remote hearing, and we had to stop the hearing for them to go home because they were in the office and they were afraid that they were going to be attacked. Wow. But we got the preservation order the next day, and then in May we got the order to unseal and then I guess it was September, October now. The judge said that we didn't have standing. We had to take that to the Supreme Court. We won, and Georgia Supreme Court came back. They said, yeah, you got standing. That reactivated the preservation order and the unseal order. So we should have been able to open discovery right then. But then they switched the case to another judge, and we had to file a motion to recuse because we knew this judge was bad. Oh, man. Based on his previous handling of the David Perdue case and making these snide remarks and extrajudicial commentary in ruling against him. So anyway, that's kind of the background of how we got all the way up to the search warrant. But along the way, what we talked about yesterday in the press conference was that I filed 4 open records requests for the ballot. So our attorney back in 2024 said, okay, well, the order to unseal is back, and there's only a 2-year limit on sealing the ballot. See, this is the other thing that people don't understand, and that Fulton County is trying to claim, well, the ballots are sealed forever by 21-500. It's a certain Georgia statute. Right. And they said, but if you read the statute, and we showed this in the video yesterday, if you read the statute, it says that they're only sealed for 2 years. Yep. Mm-hmm. So the my attorney says, hey, it's been 2 years. Why don't you file an open records request for the ballots while we're waiting for this judge who's not going to do anything? So I said, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So I filed these 2 open records requests, and the Board of Elections said, we don't have any responsive records. So that means that they didn't have the ballots. And I asked for the same ballots that the FBI seized on January 28th. At least we're told that they seized them. I think that they did. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all the Fulton County officials says that the FBI's got the ballots now. So we'll see. I think they do. And they just lied to me all along. But Absolutely. At the same time, the clerk. So I said, okay, I filed it against the clerk because the BOE, they play this shell game. They said, we can't give you the ballots. The clerk's got them. So, okay, so I'll but they didn't say that. They just said they didn't have any ballots. So I filed against the clerk. And then we've come to find out they're not in the open records request portal. So my wife and I had to hand deliver the open records request to the clerk's office and get it signed. And then I emailed them a copy the next day. And they said, well, we don't have the ballots, we either. They said, there's no responsive records. And they say, well, you requested them, and we requested them in a 600 DPI format so that we could detect counterfeits.
Mm-hmm.
And which is standard copier. Every standard copy is going to copy in 600 DPI. And they said, well, we don't have the records in the requested format. Well, that's not the law. The open records request law is they have to copy the records. If you ask for a copy of their records, they have to copy the records. So if they had a standard copy, the standard copy would have been in the format that we requested. But basically, they refused to even copy the records that they had. So that was 2024. And then we worked for 4 years because of this. They kept saying this. And we got this law passed in 2020 that effective in 2025. It was SB 189 was the bill number. And that made ballots public record. It took us 4 years. And what that says is, regardless of what this statute 21-500 says,
right?
Because you can try to interpret this, we want to make it now crystal clear for you. I call it the Fulton County ballot law. And they say, we will make it crystal clear that you, as the superintendent, had to get the ballots from the clerk if there's any question. And we don't care what 21-500 says, you've got to deliver the ballots to an open records requester.
Mm-hmm.
And so they made it crystal clear. And every county agrees that that's what the law says, except for Fulton County. And Fulton, so I sent the open records request again for 2 more times, sent it to the clerk. The clerk said, no responsive records. And by the way, the law doesn't apply to us anyway. So we said, oh, okay, well, then we'll send it to the Board of Elections. And the Board of Elections says no responsive records. And now they were required to go get the records. So they basically lied, and really effectively they lied 4 times. But there is one, that particular one is particularly egregious because the code explicitly orders them to go get the ballots, and they refuse to do it. So I filed the state election board complaint. We've learned never to file a claim against Fulton County in a Fulton County court system.
Yeah,
because they're
it's
always going to
rule.
Yeah. That's one of the dumbest things I've done. But we learned big time that we shouldn't have done that. So anyway, so I filed a state election board complaint because now we've got these. It's been, as you know, it's been reconfigured.
Yes,
the state election boards, and we got some really top-notch.
They're great
heroines on there. Yeah,
yes,
patriots who are. They are all about election integrity. So hopefully that case will come up next month.
Yes.
And we will, Fulton County is going to have some more explaining to do in March. So that's kind of the backstory of that election board case that I filed.
So with that,
there are too many people out there claiming that election fraud has been debunked and that it's a conspiracy theory. Yet, you have people that were actually there, that saw what was happening. You heard what this man has gone through, what his group has gone through. It doesn't sound like a conspiracy to me because he was on the ground that day. There are other witnesses that were on the ground that day that have said there was something shady going on. Now look, if Biden won the state, fine. But here's where the thing comes in that people need to pay attention to. We have a situation inside of Fulton County's 2020 presidential election, which also, by the way, also mattered in the Senate. Ralph Warnock would not be in the office that he's in. Most likely he wouldn't be. This happened to affect 2 Senate races. It affected a presidential election. It affected quite a few elections. Now, we have a so-called Republican who is the Secretary of State who, supposedly so bravely stood up to Donald Trump. No, he didn't. He protected the Democrat Party. This election was stolen. And the more and more that I am showing you should allow you to see it isn't a conspiracy theory. It isn't any kind of debunked thing. It is true life. And it's starting to come out. The more and more information that I am bringing you, and there are others that have brought you, should show you 2020 was a stolen election in Georgia. And it didn't just affect the presidential election, it affected 2 Senate races. This needs to be screamed from the mountaintops. End of story. It was a stolen election. And we need to make sure that the elections, no matter who wins, that they win fairly and that somebody doesn't put their thumb on the scales of justice. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Hey, folks, before you leave, if you can't become a member via my YouTube channel, which that's for my thinker, I've also got sports. I've got a Patreon. If you really, really want to help me out, I would be much appreciated. But hey, hitting like, hit subscribe, hit commenting, all those things really help me out. Have a good day.